This could be the best team the Minnesota Timberwolves have ever had. And I mean ever. I know they've had MVP Kevin Garnett, and they've been a good basketball team before. But this is a real basketball team, the way it's put together. And there is a lot of different things you can look at that shows they're actually a true contender. Now, the number one thing that's going to make it hard to be a true contender is the fact that there's a lack of experience. And by experience, I don't mean these guys haven't played in the NBA long enough, because they do actually have some on-court experience with Rudy Gobert, Karl Anthony Towns, Mike Conley. There's guys that have been playing a long time in this league. But when you look at some of the other main pieces like Anthony Edwards, and you just look at the situation of none of these guys have gone super duper deep into the playoffs, like Western Conference finals. You kind of have to take that step. You've seen it with almost every team that's won. The Milwaukee Bucks, they had to take a couple steps before they got there. The Boston Celtics haven't even won yet, but they've been there a couple times. They're getting closer and closer. You saw it with the Nuggets. They had to get closer and closer until they finally got over the hump. But overall, it is probably the best team that they've had. And you look at it, and they are real contenders. And there's one reason, and one reason only, that makes them real contenders this year. Because the one team that I think might be unstoppable in the West to most teams is the Denver Nuggets. And because of Nikola Jokic, big man, not many guys in the NBA can stop him. There's actually only two teams in the entire Western Conference that I think have a real solid chance against the Nuggets. Those two teams would be the Los Angeles Lakers, because they have a guy named Anthony Davis who can match up against Nikola Jokic, and they have LeBron James. So you never know what's going to happen. And LeBron actually can probably switch on to Jokic and at certain moments and do his best, right? I'm not saying nobody stops Jokic, but you have big men. You have an Anthony Davis who's great defensively, who can slow him down. And then you have the Minnesota Timberwolves, who can do the exact same. With the Defensive Player of the Year, again, Rudy Gobert, with Karl Anthony Towns, they have size, length, and a setup that actually can possibly slow down Nikola Jokic. And that's why they're real contenders. I think that it might be hard this year, like I said before, but there's some things to look at here which are no joke. This team, let's go through, first of all, the tear that some of these guys have been on. Last year, people were saying the Rudy Gobert trade might be one of the worst trades in NBA history. Now, the Wolves are the number one seed in the NBA, or in the Western Conference. He should have been an All-Star. He was snubbed from the All-Star team, but so be it. And he's probably going to win Defensive Player of the Year again. I think that's the third or fourth time, whatever it is, for Rudy Gobert. And you saw, there's something about Rudy Gobert that, yeah, he might not be the best player offensively, but he's going to be locked down as a big defensively. And I just feel like there was that one move on Victor Wembanyama recently where he did a spin, pump fake, Wemby drove, dunked on him. And I was thinking, I feel like Rudy Gobert is also, in total, like coming into his own as a offensive big man. Now, he's not, I'm not saying he's going to be doing anything crazy. He's averaging 13 points a game, which is great. But he feels stable. He feels like he's working his footwork extremely well. And he doesn't come across at all as a clumsy big man or anything like that, which is huge when you play somebody like Jokic. On top of that, this is the one, Anthony Edwards, right? Now, obviously, I'm still going to talk about Karl Anthony Towns. But Anthony Edwards did his thing in February. He's only the second player in franchise history to average 30-plus points per game in a single month. He averaged, for the Timberwolves in February, 31 points per game, 5.7 rebounds, 4.9 assists, a steal and a half. He shot 48.4 from the field goal percentage and 35.5 from three with an 83% free throw percentage. Anthony Edwards is going to be a face of this league. And it's not just me saying that. This is where I give Karl Anthony Towns some real respect, because Karl Anthony Towns was the number one pick. It was his franchise. He was the guy. And he was on First Take on February 23rd, so about 7-8 days ago. And he said that Anthony Edwards will be the face of the NBA. They asked him about Anthony Edwards. He started smiling, and he goes, that's the first thing I'll say. He makes us all laugh, smile, amazing person for the locker room, yada, yada, all that good stuff. And pretty much it came across saying, I told him one day, and he hates when I say this, that he's going to be the face of this league. And to me, it's just A-plus teammate, no jealousy right now. It was your franchise. You were the number one pick, once upon a time, and you were supposed to be the guy that is supposed to be the face of this franchise. And now you're saying Anthony Edwards is going to be the face of this league. I love that as a teammate by Karl Anthony Towns. And that shows that this team has some serious camaraderie. And let's not forget, Karl Anthony Towns, when I say now it's Anthony Edwards' team, Karl Anthony Towns is a very, very high-level NBA basketball player. 22.4 points per game. So he's averaging 22 with 8.5 rebounds and, almost a block, 3 assists, playing really good basketball with a team that there's a lot of people that have the ball in their hands, right? This is not a team we're talking about that has no talent. We're talking about he's averaging 22.4 with a team that has Anthony Edwards averaging 26, with a team that has Gobert that, needs the ball sometimes. Naz Reid's averaging 12 points a game. Conley's averaging 10. Jaden McDaniels is averaging 10. And that gets me to the rest of the team for a moment before I get into the deep stats about this team. They have a lot of minutes to where I just said. And Nikhil Alexander Walker's there. You got a couple minutes, here and there coming from Kyle Anderson, Monte Morris. He's actually, they're obviously new, but there's a couple, Shake Milton, Troy Brown Jr., et cetera, et cetera. But let's just look at this. They re-signed Mike Conley midseason, right? Because he's been such a good piece to have. Jaden McDaniels offensively can score when you need him to here and there, right? He'll hit a shot and great defensively. Same goes for Kyle Anderson when he plays 20 minutes a game, 15 to 20 minutes a game. Can make moments happen for you. He can get a good shot up once in a while. He'll give you effort. I know he's slow. Was his nickname Slow-Mo, but he does what he has to do on the court. I would say with all these guys, Naz Reid, Mike Conley, Jaden McDaniel, Nikhil Alexander Walker, Kyle Anderson, we're talking about a lot of guys that know their role on their team. And I think that's the biggest piece here is we're talking about a lot of guys that know their role. And when you know your role, the team works out, especially when you're top heavy with Anthony Edwards, Karl Anthony Towns, Rudy Gobert. The rest of your guys need to know their role in order for this whole thing to work. And that's what's happening. And it's a beautiful basketball to watch. It's one of the best teams in the NBA by far, if not the best team right now. The only team that people can argue right now could be better is the Celtics, but I enjoy watching this Timberwolves team more. And when you look at their net rating on a lot of different categories, it's quite impressive. They are first in opponent ranked point per game. So obviously that defense is something else. So in net rating, they're third. They're 19th in points scored per game, but first in points, opponent's points. So third overall net rating in points. Fifth in blocks overall net rating. Assists, they're fifth. Rebounds, fifth. Defensive rebounds, first in net rating. 3-point percentage, first. They have a 39% 3-point percentage, which is second in the NBA, and opponents 34, which was second in the NBA. Field goal percentage, they're eighth. Defensively, first. So second overall in field goal percentage in the NBA net rating. So we're talking about second in field goal percentage net rating, first in 3-point percentage net rating, first in defensive rebounds net rating, fifth in rebounds, fifth in assists, fifth in blocks, third in points for, and personal fouls, and third overall in points per game with net rating, and first actually when it comes to opponent ranks. This team's no joke. Every statistic actually comes out as a big deal here. And they have a 1-game lead currently on the Oklahoma City Thunder. They've won 3 straight. It's quite amazing. Defensively, if they just can keep stopping people, it's going to be hard to beat this team. They're averaging 106.3 opponents' points per game. The next closest team is the Nuggets at 110.2. So they're giving up 4 less points than the next closest team in the NBA. Just let that sink in for a little bit. Let's see what goes on moving forward. I think it's going to be exciting. It's not going to be easy. Sacramento, LA, a couple more games against both LA teams coming up. Cleveland and Indiana. There's some tough games coming up at the end of the stretch here, but they're going to be somewhere between a first, second, or third seed. And as long as you don't want to randomly fall into seeing the Warriors or the Lakers in the first round, let's just hope. They're much better, but let's just hope you don't fall into that unluckiness. That's what I'm hoping for the Minnesota Timberwolves. We'll be back next time. Like, subscribe, comment. It means the world to me. I appreciate y'all. Peace.